I would like to say that my favorite manga of all time is Berserk. Ever since Berserk's initial manga run, it has spawned many different adaptations. Some of them were seen as successful, while others are avoided by the fanbase like the plague. I would like to make this video to share my opinion of some of the Berserk adaptations. I would first like to say that you should keep in mind that these are just opinions and nothing more. As most of us probably know, the first anime adaptation of Berserk ran from 1997 to 1998. Many fans see this as Berserk's ideal adaptation, but I honestly cannot agree with that. I mean, sure, I enjoyed the show all the way through, but it was also very flawed. And yes, I will admit this is probably one of the best animated adaptations of Berserk, but some story and character elements did not translate well. One of my biggest problems with the adaptation is that they ignored the Guardians of Desire arc. This was the arc responsible for the transition towards the Golden Age arc. It was actually a great example of power pacing in manga. In the first few chapters we see Guts as an invincible badass, but when introduced to Femto for the first time we see Guts in a very powerless state. This is when we first see Guts' hatred towards Griffith. Then after this arc, the Golden Age arc is introduced to show us why Guts hates Griffith. Instead, in the 97 anime, we are just shown the God Hand taunting Guts, overall rushing the introduction of Guts' hatred towards Griffith. On the subject of character, the anime changed something somewhat significant for Guts, the killing of Adonis. In the manga, after Guts kills Julius, Guts simply hears someone is entering the room and impales them without thinking. He did not knowingly murder a child, right? Well, in the 97 anime, Guts knowingly impales Adonis after seeing him. This shows us that this version of Guts would murder a child without hesitating, unlike his manga counterpart. This subject is further explored in the manga during the Lost Children arc. Sure, we see Guts murder a pile of pseudo-apostle children, but he didn't know that they were children yet and felt extreme remorse for killing them afterwards. A better example in this arc is when he misses his shot at Rosine due to Jill being in the way. This is an example of Guts not wanting to kill a child. Another problem I had with the 97 anime was that the ending felt rushed. In the 97 anime, the last episode ends halfway through the eclipse and then the credits roll. We then see the same clip from the first episode of Black Swordsman Guts after the credits. This was most likely due to the fact that the Golden Age arc of the manga was not finished yet during this time. But I can imagine this turned a lot of people away from the series if they didn't read the manga. We don't even get to see how Guts survived the eclipse and the status of Casca after all this. Overall, the 97 adaptation had many faults, but I still really enjoy this adaptation and voice cast. Over the course of Berserk's run, it spawned 3 video games: Sword of the Berserk Guts Rage, Berserk Millennium Empire Arc, Chapter of the Holy Demon War, and Berserk Musou. I haven't played all of Guts Rage, but I recently got it on Dreamcast, so I intend to do so in the future. It is a game with an original story that takes place after the Conviction arc. I think it is a decent game overall, with an okay story, but that's perfectly fine. It wasn't adapting a part of the manga, so we can't necessarily say it was wrong. Overall, the only problems I really had with the game is Puck's English voice and how they all call Guts Gatsu in the English dub. I haven't been able to play the Millennium Empire game because I was having problems emulating it, but I will have to say it looks pretty good. And one of my favorite Berserk OSTs, signed by Suzumu Hirasawa, comes from the game. I have seen gameplay of this and I will say it looks like a fun game overall. I just wish it was available in the West. The final game I have to talk about is Berserk Musou, and this is my favorite Berserk game. The game covers from the Golden Age arc all the way to the end of the Falcon of the Millennium Empire arc. I find it surprising that a lot of people didn't care for this game, but it was overall a fun game. It was very easy gameplay wise, but I think it covered the story pretty nicely. There were some small arcs that were a little rushed, but I completely understand that. They most likely had to modify some aspects to work with the gameplay style. Overall, I think it is a solid game with beautiful cutscenes that nicely complement the story. A lot of people enjoy the 1997 anime better than these movies. but I might have to disagree with that. I honestly think that these movies captured the Golden Age arc much better than the original anime. Sure, they cut out some minor parts like the Queen's attempt to assassinate Griffith. These parts weren't very important to the overall story. They were just kind of there. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed every second of the manga, but I honestly don't think that they were necessary for the story. Unlike the original anime, the movie trilogy nearly finishes the Golden Age arc. The only thing they left out was the demon child being born. I completely understand why they did that though. To end the story on that note wouldn't be very cinematic. Although it must have been confusing to those who went to the 2016 anime after this. My only problem with the movies are the CGI parts. They didn't really look that great, but otherwise the animation was nicely done. Finally, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room, Berserk 2016. I actually have yet to hear someone talk positive about this anime, at least besides myself. Okay, hear me out before you start leaving all the hate comments. I have an explanation for my opinion. I will start by saying the animation is atrocious, and the sound effects are really annoying, but when you remove those two elements, the story and voice acting are very on point. Sure, they removed the Lost Children arc, but I think I could speak for all of us and say we really didn't need to see Guts murdering piles of children on screen. Similar to the 97 anime, they did not include the Guardians of Desire arc, but this time it's for an understandable reason. The Guardians of Desire arc simply exists to transition into the Golden Age arc. This was unnecessary this time because the series was made to complement the Golden Age arc trilogy, thus they didn't need to readapt it. And I would like to say that for the Blu-ray release of the series, they actually fixed some of the really bad animation. Sure, we still had clangs here and there, but honestly, I think this made the show a lot more enjoyable. To conclude, I would like to say that I really enjoyed every adaptation of Berserk simply because it's Berserk. I really enjoy seeing Guts on screen and in motion no matter what the adaptation is. I just really enjoy Berserk overall and I love everything that comes with it. If this video does well, I think I might start reviewing the new Berserk chapters as they come out. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content.